Hello and welcome to Spy Money. Today we're going to talk about how to scalp equities, ETFs, futures, forex, and options. A lot of people want to go ahead and scalp instead of doing more long term. I personally am more of a swing trader. I like to get in and just kind of let it ride for maybe overnight or 2 or 3 days or a week, sometimes longer. That's my personal strategy. On penny stocks and such, I will do the scalping. And the penny stocks, you can't do long on them because they usually only have like a 1 to 2 day increase or short or whichever. It's hard to short a penny stock. Most penny stocks are not shortable with your broker. So you have to go long on them. So we're going to talk about how I do it as far as watching the candles, what's the best way, and this is the best way for me. For one, I use the MACD, and the MACD just gives me a general direction. It is a lagging indicator, all indicators are, but the MACD kind of gives you an idea of the direction it's going. And you can watch other videos on how to use the MACD. I have my volume set up. I also have this average that pops up. It tells you your daily average, what it's actually doing now, what percent it's up or down, your each bar, what the average volume is for it, and then your current bar. And then I also use the RSI. Some people have them set at 80-20, which is 20 down here, 80 up here. Some are 70-30, some are 50. I personally just like the 50. The 50 just lets me know, if it's below 50, then you're in a sell. It'll stay that pretty much all the way. And if you look at it, I mean, you can visualize where your 20 or 30 is. So, but if it's green, then up over top, then it's you go long on it. So I use the 1 minute chart over here, and I use the 5 minute chart here, and then the 15. The reason I use those three together is I want to see where the direction is. The 15 will actually show me a longer duration of which direction that stock's going. So if I'm over here on the 1 minute and it starts coming up, I can pretty well bet that it's going to drop again because you've got your overall directions going that way. So on your 5 minute, it does the same thing, but it's a tighter area. So the 5 minute is still showing that it's not going above this VWAP, which we'll discuss in a second. But if it's not going above the VWAP, then it's still a short in my book. And then if you open this one up, you can see it. The 15 minute is coming up and touching, but it's never going over top of it. So that tells me I can stay in the trade. And if I come back over to the 1 minute, the 1 minute will show pretty much the same thing. But a lot of times when you're scalping, you'll get in here, and then you could go ahead and sell, buy it back in here because you're going short. Let me open that up a little more. So when this comes down and it starts coming up, you could go ahead and lock out here. And then when it comes up and it starts coming back down, you can go ahead and lock in again. If you look right here, there's a double pattern or a double top. So if you look at that, you know that if it doesn't cross this right here and then it starts coming back down, you can go short again. And then as long as this right here comes down and doesn't go up to that again, you can stay in the trade. A lot of people on scalping, they'll just jump in short here, and then they'll come on down, let it go on down, and then when it starts coming up, they'll go and get out. And there's a lot of money there. I mean, if you look on this particular one, there's 301 down to 297, so there's $3 that you could be making on that. And if you go percentage-wise from there to here, you're looking at 1.46%. So there's 1.5% that you can make just on that one short. So everybody has their own way of doing things. I kind of like to go in. I'm not one to do the momentum per se. I like to get in it and just kind of let it ride out. That's my strategy. There's some YouTubers out there that are showing you how to get in here and just kind of let it go, and as soon as you see a little bit of pullback of anything, they just get out. the problem with that is you sometimes over trade, where I could get in here and just kind of let it ride on out and keep on going, and by the time it gets down here, I'm going to make from here to here is that's the wrong one. Yeah, that's the right one. From here to here is 4%, 4.02%, and where I'm looking is right here. There's a percentage there. So I'm looking at 4% there. A lot of people will go ahead and get in here and then come on up, and they'll get 2.55% there. And then when it starts coming back down, they'll go ahead and jump in again, and there's another 0.5%. So there's 3 if they hit it right. And then when it comes up, then they would get in again here and come down. So there's 4.5%. And then they would go ahead and not get in here probably. And then as soon as they see it hit that VWAP and start coming down, they could come down. And so there's another 2. So there's 6.5% they can make. But the problem with that is that's if they hit the entries and exits perfect. Where if you just get in here and you know that you're never coming up to where you're going to lose up here, if you keep on going, it comes up, you're still in the money right here. And then the time it gets down here at the end of the day, you go ahead and close out, and you're roughly 3.5%, 4% thereabout, depending on where you take it. So I personally like to be in the trade longer. And as long as I see this downtrend on your 15-minute and your 5-minute, then I just don't like to overtrade. I would rather just do 1-2 trades a day, let it go. When you get into this, you can set your stops on it. You can even put a trailing stop on it. So in order to set all that, you go into your active trader. And when I'm trading this, I'm looking at my time sales, and I'm looking at my active trader. And I would scoot this one on over and scoot this one over. Let me get it there. So this window doesn't need to be that big. I like my 5-minute a little bit bigger, and I like my 1-minute quite a bit bigger because I want to see the overall direction of it. So my 1-minute and 5-minute are most important to me in scalping, but I like to see the 15 just to make sure that everything is lining up together. And if you go in here, we'll do another video on the active trader and stuff. I don't want to make this video too long, but this is where I would buy and I would sell. So you go in here, you click whatever you want. You can set these up for this up here ever how you want it, and bring in where you automatically have 1,000 shares or whichever, and you set all that up with under setup up here. So we'll do it some more time. So my time sales is showing me all the buys and all the sells. So it's telling me what's going on over here. If it's all lit up red, then this is going to keep on shorting. If it's all lit up green, then it's going up. So I'll click that out. And then the other thing is, and I've shown in another video how to use the indicators. I'm not going to go through all that. But now there's a video online that shows how I use the 15 EMA, the 50 SMA, or 50 EMA, and the 180 SMA. And how I use those, the VWAP is one of the main things on scalping, or actually any kind of trade, unless it's, when you start getting into long-term, like 4-hour, one-day charts, the VWAP don't really show up that well. This is mainly on the lower time frames. But if these candles are below this VWAP, then you can pretty well bet that it's going to go ahead and keep on going down. When it crosses, like how it did here, when it crossed that VWAP and it come up and it went to test it, and then it broke right back through. So just because it breaks through the VWAP doesn't mean that it's going to continue to go up. It's just testing it. As you can see, it's going up close to the 180. The 180 is kind of forcing it down. And as long as these candles are below this 15, then to me that's going short. So I hope this helps you as far as how I do it. It's may not work for you. It does work for me. I've made a lot of money using this system. It's really pretty simple. It looks like quite a bit of stuff up here, but it's really not. And I set my candles up. I switch them back and forth sometimes, but for the most part, I prefer when it's going down, it turns red. When it's going up, it's turning green. And these are just normal candles. There's no indicator of some sort changing these colors, it's actually going up right up into your setup. And if you go up here and then go to appearance, and this is how I have it set up. And it works for me. Again, it may not work for you. You can change your candles to whatever you want. I like candles. I like to see the wicks. You know, I want to see that above. That way I know where the buyers and sellers are. It helps me read the candles better. And we'll go into candlestick patterns some other time. But as far as you know, looking at this, you know, I look at a lot of different things. The main thing I'm looking at when I'm scalping stocks is I'm looking to see where the candle is on the 15, and I'm looking at this VWAP. Those are my two main things I'm looking at. And if I, you know, like right here where this candle went above the 15, I'd probably get out here if I'm just doing a quick scalp, because that tells me that it's probably going to continue up. So, but if it would have come up, and let me find an example of it. Like, yeah, right here is a good example. How it went up, and there's, you know, one candle above. If it would have hit a second candle, I'd definitely been out. You know, sometimes, you know, it depends on how close I am with it. You know, if say I got in a short right here and it come down and it started coming up and it touched that and then come down, I'd stay in. But if it come up and then this next candle went above, I'd be getting out. Now, long term, you know, you can see that it went and come back down, but there's a good chance that it could have kept on going. But if you look over here on the 5 minute, let's see, let me find where that is over there. If I look at the time frame, it's 1301, and that's right here. So see, if I would looked over here at the 5 minute compared to here, then you can see that it's not even going up to the 15. So, you know, you can stay in it. That's why you want to look at different time frames. If you're only looking at the 1 minute, then, you know, you possibly might have got out right here. But again, my strategy is to stay in it as long as I can. I would rather just not have a lot of trades on it. On Thinkorswim platform, if you're doing scalps, it's free, so you won't have any fees with the stocks. But I just don't like to overtrade. And if you're doing options, I mean, this is not a place that you would want to do an option, you know, to go long on, because number one, they charge you per contract, so you're looking at $1.30, or, you know, at the max. I don't pay that; they give me a discount, but $1.30 is what they normally charge everybody. And on this particular one, if you're in an option, you'd be better off to go into puts up here and just kind of let it ride out and just stay in it. With options, it's better off. You're better off to go ahead and stay in. With scalping stocks, you can get in and out, and there's actually, you know, probably a little more money doing that. With futures, I just kind of let it ride out. But then again, if you're in the future, I mean, there's, depending on how many contracts you have, there's a lot of money from here to there. So with futures, and I'll do another video on how to do futures, but with futures, you may want to go ahead and get out, depending on if you're in the micros or the minis, and how many contracts you have with it. So I hope this helps you. This is how I scalp the stocks, and maybe it'll help you with you know, being able to make a little more money doing it this way. There's a lot of different people out there doing it a lot of different ways. This is, like I said, how I do it. I look for my support and resistance lines, and, you know, you can also draw the fibs in there. And there's a way to draw fibs in another video. I won't go into that. But what I do mainly is I just kind of look for, if I'm scalping, I'm just kind of looking for the pattern of how it's going with the 15 and the VWAP and stuff. So hopefully it helps. Have a great day. Thanks.